Hi, I'm Pat and welcome back to the channel. We got the QuickJacks out because the NSX is going up on the lift because we're going to be replacing the tires. If you're new to the channel, please click the subscribe button and ring that bell for notifications because I like to post car content and you're not going to want to miss it. So what's going on today? I just got this car only 2 weeks ago. Why am I replacing the tires? Well, let's talk a little bit more about that. So what kind of tires do we currently have on the NSX? Well, these are Continental tires. And these are good tires, but they're not very good in winter conditions. You see, these are max performance summer tires. And they come with a warning. Anything below 40 degrees, you have the potential of cracking these. So you actually don't want to drive on these tires underneath 40 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, what's a guy to do when he wants to drive during the winter? He either has to buy winter tires or he has to consider all-season tires. This is the Bridgestone Potenza RE980AS for all season. This is a set of rear tires, so these are about 12 inches wide, but they're the same exact dimensions as the tires that are currently on the car. These SportContact 6s that are back here, the Continentals, are very, very good tires, but obviously not good in winter conditions. Now, I could have bought a winter tire, meaning I could have got a tire that I could drive in the snow, and they do have these, the Pirelli Sotozero tires. They're excellent in the snow, but I don't want a snow tire because I'm not going to drive this car in the snow. This car has Continental DWS 06 tires, and they're good for dry, wet, and snow. But Continental did not make at least a tire here for the back. The fronts, yes, but not for the back. These 305 3020s that are here, Continental, I contacted them. They said, nope, we're not going to make a DWS 06 tire for that car, so you're out of luck. So I'm going to Bridgestone. I'm not a really big fan of the Bridgestone tires, but this is the only tire that's an all-season tire that I could put on this car. Now, I only have the rear tires today. The front tires, they're still on their way. There was some bad weather in Connecticut where they're being shipped from. But what I'm going to do today is I'm going to lift the car up and I'm going to take the existing wheels off of the car so that I can get them ready for my installer. So once I get all four tires, I'll just throw them in the back of my pickup truck along with the wheels and get them installed. I'll have these Continentals taken off and I'll have these Bridgestones put on. I can then drive it around in winter conditions, obviously not snow because they're not snow tires. I don't want to drive them in the snow anyway, and see how they perform and then provide a review. So this will be a first time test on these particular tires on this particular car. Now, I have my QuickJacks here, and if you're not familiar with the QuickJack, there's a link in the description below where I went over a review on how they worked on the i8. But today, we're going to put them underneath the Acura NSX. Now, I already lined up the other side of the car. I have it underneath the car. But this side here, I have it slid out right now so I can show you a little bit more about where the jacking points are in the Acura NSX and how this QuickJack will slide perfectly under there and give me just a tiny little bit of clearance between those rubber jack pads and the car. All right, so here are the QuickJacks, and these are the 7,000 pound version because I want to use them with my truck. So I can actually jack up to 7,000 pounds. This is the SLX version, so it's not the extended. And these pads actually line up perfectly with the car. So these little jack pads, they just stick up a little bit over top of the QuickJack here, but they line up perfectly with the jack pads that are on the bottom of the car. So these little steel pieces that hang down underneath the NSX right here, that's where these rubber blocks will impact. And there's a rubber block here in the back as well as one in the front. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up and I'll show you what it looks like when it's under the car. All right, now everything is lined up perfectly. We have that little rubber pad just in behind here. Let's move it up a tiny bit there. Okay, now it's lined up perfectly with this middle piece. Now let's look at the front. And looking here at the front, we have the same situation. Everything is lined up perfectly. Now I also want to note that, you know, these QuickJacks have to be, you know, parallel to the car. So what I do in order to make sure that everything is correct is I try to stick my fingers in here in between the rubber pad and of course the jack point on the car and see just how far in. And I can measure according to my knuckles how far in this is. And I make sure it's equal both on the front and the back so that these are completely parallel and flush with the car as far as what I could tell with the frame. Now obviously you could see that it sticks out a little bit further up here, but with the body shape of the car contouring, that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. It actually lines up with the frame of the car perfectly. Same with the other side. Okay, so let's go ahead and jack this car up. All right, I took the car all the way up. So this has two settings, of course, and I wanted to get it up just to give you a little bird's eye view of what it looks like underneath the Acura NSX. So we definitely have nothing but panels under here, but this is where we will be doing our oil change and our transmission fluid change. Quite an interesting setup. Let's go to the front. And here we are. We have a nice smooth bottom. Of course, we got some air ducts here in order to vent some air into the brakes up front. Pretty cool. All right, we got the car down to the halfway position, the halfway up position. And what we need to do first is remove these plastic caps in order to get to the wheel bolts. So there is a special tool and it's in the trunk. Let's take a closer look. Now inside the trunk down here, I'll put you inside the trunk. This little space that's right here, because this is just a Velcro piece of carpet, and I can go ahead and undo these retaining straps, which will allow me to pull out this piece. And in here is a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that's in here is a little tool in order to remove the caps from the wheel bolts. So let's take a closer look at how this works. All right, so here's our tool, and if we could see, I don't know if you'll be able to catch it on camera or not, but it actually has like little teeth to it. And you slide these all the way in over the cap, and then you pull. It does exactly what it was designed to do. So now we've exposed the actual wheel bolt itself. So I can go ahead and hold on to these little plastic covers and get the rest of these off and then start removing the bolts. Next, I'm going to go ahead and use a 17mm socket on an impact gun in order to remove my first wheel bolt. Next, I'm going to install a pilot stud, and what this allows me to do is to take the wheel off without having the wheel impact anything, the calipers or the brake rotor. Now, link in the description below if you're interested in this, and I will have the exact part number down there so you could get one for your NSX. Now I'll go ahead and remove the rest of the wheel bolts. All right, I'm back here. It's the next day. I've already had my tires mounted to the wheels and I kept my summer tires. So I have those Bridgestone tires currently on the wheels and ready to go. Now, in the process of getting ready to mount the wheels onto the car, I've already done a little bit of cleanup and I have another video coming out. So there'll be a link in the description below on how to get that residue off of the inside of the tire when they use those stick-on weights. I'll show you a little bit more what I mean. So these are the stick-on weights that they put on the car because, of course, this is the best way in order to balance these kinds of wheels. They don't have the standard lip where we used to hammer on a lead weight. But in the process of taking off the old stuff, sometimes a lot of that white residue, the sticky stuff, stays on the tire. So I have another video and it'll be coming out soon. And if you're watching this, of course, it'll be just a link in the description below if you're watching it later. So that's all ready to go. I've cleaned up the inside and the face of these wheels. And I've also added a little bit of nickel anti-seize here on the hub on both the wheel and the hub of the car. So this is actually steel here. And of course, that's aluminum. Dissimilar metals, not good. So this was actually rusting very, very well, and I gave it a quick coating of nickel anti-seize, and now I won't have that dissimilar problem, and I probably won't get as much rust forming here, because this is steel, that's aluminum. Of course, I did a little bit of cleanup here as well. You know me, I got to get out the the microfiber and some cleaning and take care of things like the calipers while I'm in here. So let me go ahead and mount this wheel up to this hub, and I've already installed my pilot stud, and I also have this. This is a torque stick. Now, this car says that you should torque the wheel to the hub at 125 pounds-feet. This is a 110 pounds-feet torque stick. So I can stick this on the end of my impact wrench and run it in, and it won't over torque it, and then that way I just have to torque it a little bit when it's on the ground. So let's get started. So in order to make sure that I don't impact the wheel against the calipers or against those very expensive brake rotors, is to first I'm going to line up the hole on the wheel with the pilot stud the best I can, and I'm going to pick this straight up, but I'm actually also going to use my feet to help prop it up, so I can just push it straight in here until it aligns with the hub, and that's it. It's on there. So then I can start my first bolt, and I'm just going to take this one all the way down with my hand. And I could take that pilot stud out of there and then install another bolt where this pilot stud was at. There we go. I have two in there. It's pretty solid. So I could just get these hand started. I don't want to use the impact wrench on these right away. I want to make sure that I don't cross thread them. And that means that I just hand start these. And then I could pick up my impact wrench and go to town. So torque stick at 110, here we go. And that's it. Now our next step, we're going to lower the car and check the torque on these with a torque wrench and put the caps back on, and we should be good to go. I'll go ahead and press the up button on the QuickJack. And this gives me just enough clearance to undo the prop on the side and allow it to come all the way down. All right, nothing underneath the car. I can take it down. All right, we have our clicky stick set to 125. And now we can reinstall our wheel caps. I just kept them in this old plastic Solo cup, and that way they wouldn't go wandering away. So there you have it. The entire process of taking off the wheels and tires, having new tires put on and reinstalled on the Acura NSX. If you have any questions or comments, drop them in the comment box below. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please click the subscribe button and ring that bell so you get all the notifications, because I'll be posting more content like this. Thanks for watching, and happy motoring.